As Alicia mentioned, I work with Prevail. We are an agency based in Noblesville. We serve all of Hamilton County and the surrounding areas, and we work with victims of crime and abuse. So most of our clients come to us after experiencing something super traumatic. I'd say our bread and butter is domestic violence. I'd say about half, 50 to 60% of our clients come in after experiencing domestic violence. Many of our clients have experienced sexual assault, and the remainder come from things like stalking, harassment, intimidation, things like that for the most part. We work with kids as young as 6 years old, so kids, teens, and adults. We see, I'd say about a third of our clients are under the age of 18. Last year we served over 3,500 people from Hamilton County. And just to kind of give you an idea of the numbers and where we're at. I believe in 2018, our numbers for teens and adolescents coming to see us were somewhere between 500 and 700. And so those are your students who are coming into our doors every day. Okay. Also, just kind of gives you a little bit of a background on Prevail. We felt it was really important to start focusing heavily on prevention. Okay, we have awesome advocates who do a wonderful job when your kids have experienced something traumatic and need assistance. Our advocates are great and they're there for those kids 100%. But we kind of hope your kids don't need us in the first place, right? That's the ultimate goal. And so the last several years we've been focusing a lot on prevention, and a big piece of that has been teen dating violence. We're noticing that adolescents in need of services is our fastest growing population. In fact, we've added 3 new youth advocates since I started about 3.5 years ago. So our youth service team has doubled in that time, because as soon as we open up the availability, we have more kids coming in to fill those slots. And so our adolescent services are our fastest growing. Okay. As prevention specialist at Prevail, a big part of my job is working with teens on healthy relationships. So I go out to junior highs, high schools, different extracurricular groups, whoever will have me, and I get to work with your kiddos one-on-one or in small groups about, hey, what is a healthy relationship? What does that look like? What are some of those skills that you can have? And what are some of those warning signs for maybe a not so healthy relationship? That's been great, and we love working with kids. I love having the opportunity to hang out with teenagers and talk to them about these things and hear their thoughts. But we've discovered a big piece of that was, or a big piece of that prevention work was missing, right? And so as we're working with teens, that's all well and good, but if we're the only ones talking to them and they get to see us once, maybe once a year, if they're lucky, it doesn't really do a lot of good. And so we've really been kind of pushing our efforts to focus on parents and educators as well. And that way we can all attack this from different fronts and hopefully make kind of a dent in those numbers of kids needing our services. So today we're going to focus on teen dating violence. Okay, February is Teen Dating Violence Awareness and Prevention Month. So that's a whole big mouthful. And so the first thing that I'll ask you to do is kind of look through these situations. These are things that come up regularly with some of our teens. And think about how you feel about those scenarios. Are they abusive? Are they healthy? Are they normal parts of a relationship? If your partner controls your social media accounts, and you feel like you can share things with your partner, but you also feel like you can keep some things private. Your partner says you don't really love them because you want to go to a movie with a friend instead of spending a long time with your partner. Your partner threatens to tell other people about your sex life or share private photographs or texts. You and your partner agree to take the night off from texting or calling each other, but while you're out with your friends, your partner calls and texts you multiple times to say they miss you. Your partner tells you they wouldn't hit you if you just did things the right way. These are scenarios that teens often face in their relationships. Okay? And a lot of times, when I bring these to kids and I say, hey, tell me how you feel about this. What do you think? They'll say, oh yeah, that sounds fine. That's normal. I don't care if my partner controls my social media. I don't care if they look at my phone. They can read my text messages. It's really sweet when they call me and they text me all the time to check up on me. It just means that they care. When my partner gets really jealous, that must mean that he really loves me. And so these are some of the perceptions that our teens have about relationships. And we find that a little bit alarming, right? A lot of these behaviors, I hope most of us can agree as adults, are relatively unhealthy. If your partner's guilting you into spending time with them, if your partner's isolating you from your other friends and family, if your partner's controlling access to your own accounts, if your partner's hitting you, those are pretty big warning signs for an abusive relationship. It can be hard to pinpoint that, though. Right? The messages that we send kids about relationships, either through examples, through conversations that we have, or through the relationships that they see with their peers around them, through what they see on TV, movies, music, it can be really hard to pinpoint some of these unhealthy behaviors because they're portrayed as normal so often. And so it's crucial for us to come in and talk to our kids about what is healthy, what is normal, what should be expected in a relationship, and where we should draw those lines. Kids who are in abusive relationships often start to struggle academically. Their attendance declines. They're more likely to develop anxiety, depression, eating disorders, substance use disorders, suicidal ideation. And kids who are in abusive relationships now as teenagers are more likely to be in abusive relationships as adults later in their lives. So there's some pretty significant and long-term consequences to dating violence. We felt it was especially important to loop parents into this conversation. You know, we can go to kids all day, every day, and talk about healthy relationships. But parents are absolutely the first line of defense against this. Right? And so, nationwide, most parents say, yeah, we've got a handle on this. We talk to our kids about relationships. We're good to go. About 75% of parents feel confident that their kids are well informed and they're doing a great job talking about dating violence. Their kids have no clue. So about 74% of their sons and 66% of their daughters are like, my parents never talked to me. I don't know what they're talking about. But there's a pretty significant disconnect there. And so of those parents who do not talk to their kids, one of the largest reasons that they cite is that their kids are too young. They're not ready for that yet. They're not dating yet. As educators, I'm sure it comes as no surprise to you that they really are. Right? Most kids are thinking about dating relationships by 6th grade-ish. Studies show that 1 out of every 3 7th grade boys and 1 out of every 4 7th grade girls has been, or excuse me, of kids in relationships, 1 out of 3 boys and 1 out of 4 girls report physical violence at the hands of their partner. 7th grade, they're already experiencing this. Kids ages 11 to 14, so that's what, junior high age, a fifth of them can point to one of their friends that's being abused by their partner. So this "my kids are too young" thing, don't buy into that. You know, you all work kind of hand in hand with your students' parents, right? You're kind of that team backing them up, and oftentimes you spend more time with teens than their own parents do. Right? You get to see them 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. And oftentimes educators are in a better position to notice certain behaviors and certain warning signs of dating violence even than parents. Right? Because you not only see those kids in their natural element, but you're going to see them in their social clique. Right? You know who they're around, you hear the rumors, you hear the gossip. And so I want to touch on some of the things that you are all in a unique position to notice when it comes to dating violence. If you're seeing a student who suddenly develops problems with their attendance, they're showing up late or they're not showing up at all, if their academic performance is slipping, they've gone from an A student who always turns in their work to someone who might occasionally throw something at you, but it's not very well done, it's kind of a red flag, right? That would probably raise some suspicions for some of you that something's going on, whether it's dating violence or something else. If you're a star basketball player, suddenly stop showing up for practice, or your lead actress in the play drops out, and that lack of interest or loss of interest in extracurricular activities, unexplained changes in their demeanor and their behavior and the way they're interacting with their peers and their classmates, those are pretty significant red flags. One thing that kind of pops up and can often go unnoticed is when kids request a schedule change. And I know that's a huge hassle to deal with, right? I used to teach high school myself, and once you get beyond those first couple of days of that semester or trimester, it's a pain in the butt to move kids around, right? But if a kid is coming to you asking to change their schedule or asking to change their classes, please listen to that and investigate why that might be. I bet money it's going beyond that teacher doesn't like me or their class is too hard. Kids requesting a schedule change are often looking for a way to get away from somebody who is not treating them the way they need to be treated. And from somebody who is abusive towards them, somebody who's stalking them, somebody who's threatening them. So that is a great opportunity for you to have a conversation with that kid about what is happening that's prompting this request. And of course, any sort of physical injury is always kind of a red flag, right? Kids get bumps and bruises, and that's okay. But when you're saying it over and over and over, and they can't explain that, that's certainly a cause for concern. And apologizing for their partner's behavior. This goes back to that idea of victim blaming, right? And so if you see one of your students and their partner come in and their partner's kind of rude to you, or is jerking them around or something like that, and your student is making excuses, I would be really concerned about that. If they're trying to explain away that bad behavior. So those are some unique situations that may come up among your students and in your classroom. So I'm sure all of you are here wondering, okay, we know teen dating violence is a problem. We know tons of kids are experiencing this. We know what parents can do. What can I do in my classroom or in my school? First of all, recognize that your words matter. And the way that you talk about people and your own relationships and your relationships with your students, those are important, and kids internalize those. And set a positive example. Think about the way you're talking with your peers and your colleagues and the kids themselves, and ensure you're treating everybody with respect. Call out harmful behavior when you see it. This is a tough one because I know you're surrounded by kids all the time. Your attention is in 50 different places at once, right? And so it's easy to let it go if you hear one kid calling another a name or something along those lines, but call out that behavior when you see it as often as you can. Check in with your students, all of them, as often as you can. Certainly if you have a concern. And make healthy relationships a normal part of your class. Of course, building that rapport with your kids, we talk about that all the time in your professional development, right? It's essential to have good relationships. If you don't have good relationships with your students, they're not going to learn as much, right? Integrate that into your classroom in the way that your kids are interacting with themselves. And look for opportunities to include this kind of information into your classroom. This year, Prevail released a teen dating violence toolkit for educators that we are happy to share with you. You can find that on our website. It has all kinds of awesome activities for you. If you have 5 minutes to wrap up a class discussion, there's something for you there. If you have 3 weeks that you want to fill with lesson plans, we have something for you there. Okay, so it's our run the gamut there. So please check that out. Look at some of those activities and ways that you can incorporate that. Love is Respect is another one of my favorite resources for healthy relationships. They have some pretty cool activities for you as well. All right, what do you do once you find a kid who you are pretty sure is in an abusive relationship. How can you help them? Offer support, not advice. Start by listening to those kids, understand where they're coming from, and be supportive of that student, whatever it is that they need at that time. Okay? It's easy to jump into that grown-up mode where you want to just tell that kid what to do. Okay? Here's the problem, here's how you fix it, case closed. Okay? That's not what your kids are looking for from you. And so be supportive, hear them out, listen to them, believe them. So many kids are afraid of coming forward with their story because they don't think anyone will listen to them. They don't think anyone will believe that their partner is abusive. Help your kids find a professional, whether that's someone at Prevail or another local resource or national resources. Get them connected with someone who can help. It's really tempting to badmouth their partner, right? Oh, they're such a jerk. That's going to put that kid on the defensive. Right? Or for parents, it's really tempting to say, well, then you just need to break up with them, don't see them anymore, right? Case closed, easy. Even if your kid's telling you that they're breaking up with their partner, they're probably still seeing them behind your back. Okay? And you've just made yourself somebody that they can't turn to anymore. So as much as you want to solve that problem for them, as much as you want to tell them what to do, and help them realize how negative their partner is behaving, either be supportive and empower them to make their own choices. Here's our contact information. If you ever have any questions, comments, concerns, looking for resources, you can find us any of those places. As I mentioned, we have a 24-hour crisis line, so you can reach an advocate anytime in the day. This month, for Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month, we've had some pretty awesome social media materials on responding to disclosures. So if somebody comes up to you and says, my partner is abusing me, your response is essential, right? Being that first person they come to, you can make or break it for that person. Okay? And so if you want tips for how to talk to somebody when they disclose to you, check out our social media this month. There's some great material there.